Hi everyone, my name is Manal Fayez and you're watching From Scratch. On today's episode of From Scratch, we're going to be making a pasta dough, which we're going to use to make some raviolis. Our raviolis for today are going to be filled with some pumpkin squash that is mixed together with some truffle oil. It's going to be super delicious. For your pasta dough, what you're going to need is some olive oil, some salt, all-purpose flour, and some eggs. You could still use some pasta flour, but I find it to work perfectly fine together with some all-purpose flour. So to start off, what we're going to do is we're going to mix together in our bowl right here a pinch of salt, well, a good heavy pinch of salt. And we're just gonna give that a nice mix through, just like so. I'm gonna set this aside for now. And what I'm gonna do is crack 3 eggs right into my bowl. And I'm just going to pour in the olive oil right into my eggs. I'm gonna give this a nice whisk. So you want to make sure that your station is nice and clean. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put all of that flour that we have, our salt mixed into it, right into or onto our work surface. Create some sort of a hole right in the middle. And I'm gonna pour in all of that egg mixture together with the olive oil and give this a nice whisk. So take your time right over here because you don't want that egg to fall out onto your station. Grab your scraper and then start mixing everything together. So a scraper works very handy over here. So I'm not using my hands, only until I'm ready to start kneading everything together. So I am ready to start kneading once I start to notice that everything is nice and dry. So what I'm gonna do is take away my scraper for now and start kneading just like so. I'm using the palm of my hands and I'm scraping it back onto the surface just like so to knead everything together. So you may have some drier pieces just over here. What I'm gonna do is I'm only gonna add them just in case they're needed. So what you wanna do is make sure you've got a nice lump over here that you're working with. In case any extra flour is needed, then you could go ahead with including that into the dough. But what I'm doing right now is just kneading everything together, which is super simple. You're just pushing this against your work surface to kind of start creating that gluten content. So I'm just gonna keep on kneading until I make sure that I've got a nice and smooth surface. So my dough is nice and smooth. I'm gonna form it into a ball, and what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna cover it up with some plastic wrap and I'm gonna let it rest at room temperature, and then it's ready to use. After the break, what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on the filling. So I'll see you guys after the break. So we're gonna work on our ravioli filling. For that, what you're gonna need is some brown sugar, some Parmesan cheese that is already grated, some salt. What I have over here is some roasted butternut squash together with some garlic and onions. I just roasted that with just a little bit of oil in the oven. What I have over here is some truffle oil, olive oil in case it's needed, and some black pepper. So basically what you want to do is pop all of these ingredients in a blender and get it nice and blended together. So what I'm going to do is I'll start off with our sugar and add in all the rest of the ingredients. So this is a really, really delicious filling that you could use in a ravioli. I've never really honestly used this filling for any other recipe, but I'm sure you could try to find a different way that you could incorporate it into something else. But it's very delicious, especially in the winter time where everything grows in season. It's super good. So what I'm gonna do is add in some truffle oil, a good amount of truffle oil, and some black pepper. I really like adding in some cracked black pepper, but if you don't like the flavor of black pepper, you could easily omit it out. So what I'm gonna do right now is get this nice and blended up. Right, I guess that's it with blending. What I'm gonna do right now is transfer this into a piping bag to get it ready to pipe into our raviolis. So with a piping bag, what you want to do is use your hands, kind of like a scraper. When you put in your ingredients, scrape down the ingredients from your spatula using your hands. So this is nice and filled. What I'm going to do is get it prepared for when I'm ready to pipe onto our ravioli or our pasta dough. I'm just gonna get it nice and tight. There we have it. So our filling is ready. Our pasta dough has been resting. What we're gonna do right after the break is we're gonna pass our pasta dough through a pasta sheeter and get it nice and cut up, ready to fill our ravioli. So our dough has been resting for around 30 minutes. If you want to keep it for longer, it's always preferable. It has been covered in plastic wrap the full time. I just unwrapped it for easy use. So what I'm going to do is portion it down so it can be easy to pass it through our pasta machine. So I'm just going to portion it into 4 portions. Just going to give them a nice tug. So I have my pasta machine over here that is set up already. You could use pasta machines that are used by hand, so manual pasta machines that also work. I just opt for this because it cuts down on preparation time. I've got some excess dusting flour over here, which I'm gonna dust my surface. My tray lined with a baking sheet or parchment paper. So what I'm gonna do is take my pasta, give it a nice kind of push together with your hands just to flatten it out, and then what we'll do is switch on our pasta machine. So I always like to pass it through the first setting at least 3 times, and I fold it just like so, just like a letter fold, just like so, and then I pass it through. And this is just to make sure that if there are any sort of air pockets, they are completely gone. One more time. And one final time. Right? So now we're going to get it nice and sheeted out. And what I'm going to do is just sprinkle just a little bit of some flour, just to make sure that nothing sticks into my machine. You could always pass it twice if you feel like it needs it through the same setting. I'll sprinkle some more flour onto the surface. I'll go down to a smaller setting and I'll keep on going. I'm going to go down with a smaller setting. So depending on the pasta machine that you have at home, you don't want to get this to a very thin kind of thickness, just because it will rip apart, especially when you're ready to shape your pasta. You just want to get it thin enough to make it better to eat. So this is the thickness that you are looking for, just like so. And how you could tell that you have reached the correct thickness, once you put your hands through, you could actually see them through the other side. So this is the perfect thickness that you want to achieve. So what I'm going to do is I'll set my pasta machine aside. And to make it easier for me to work, what I'll do is cut this in half, just like so. This metal scraper works perfect with pasta, so I highly recommend that you go and purchase one. It's very versatile to use. You not only can use it for pasta making, you can use it for many different things. So what I have over here is a ring cutter. What I'm gonna do is dip it in my flour and cut out my pasta, just like so. What I'll do is I'll set them onto my tray over here. Just like so. Super easy. So I have them nice and cut out for me. So the rest of the dough you could always use to make more ravioli. You could sheet it out and then cut it up into spaghetti size. You could do many different things. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna take this right next to me, and I have a towel right underneath to stabilize my tray. What I'm gonna do is start by filling. So to fill, what we're gonna do is just pipe right in the center. Not so much, you don't wanna overfill, because then it's gonna be super hard to seal. So just like so. And then what I'm gonna do to seal them is dip my finger in just a little bit of water. So I have a bowl over here with water, and get the edges nice and wet. Pick it up with my hand and then seal off the outer edges. Make sure you give that filling a nice tap to reach all the way to the edge. And then I'm gonna keep on going. So this is a very therapeutic thing, I would say, to do. It's nice and makes you really focus into what you're actually doing. So I really enjoy tasks like this. I usually tend to do recipes that take a long time over the weekend for my family, so we could enjoy a very nice meal together. And pasta is always one of those recipes that take a bit of time, but it really makes me really enjoy my time, because you get a lot of time that you're focusing onto one dish, and it turns out really great. So these are nicely sealed off. What I'm gonna do is get some water boiling, and then we're gonna get our brown butter sauce cooking. We're gonna boil these together, and I'll show you a tip on how to tell when your pasta dough is ready. So we have our raviolis filled and ready to cook. What we're gonna do is start off with our sauce and then get it boiling, just because it takes a very quick time for it to cook. So for that, what you're gonna need is some salt, butter, Parmesan cheese, some black pepper, and truffle oil. So as I said, it's super fast to cook pasta, especially fresh pasta. So you don't want to add them in too early on in some boiling water. So what I'm going to do is start off with our sauce. So for that, we're going to make a very quick, delicious sauce. A major component in it is actually pasta water. So you want to make sure that your pasta water is nice and salted as well. So for that, what I'm going to do is heavily salt my pasta water right here and get that nice and boiled up. What I have is a pan heating up over here. I'm going to grab some butter. I'll get that nice and melted up and actually start to brown it. So fresh pasta cooks very quickly in the water. So you want to put in or drop in your pasta once your sauce is almost done. So make sure you're on and off of the heat. Don't go too fast because you may burn your butter. So with this recipe, I did not opt for a very overpowering sauce just because I want that inner or the filling that we used in the ravioli to shine through. So I'm opting for a very versatile sauce, which is a brown butter sauce that is really not going to overpower any of the flavors. So I could see some brown bits in there that are forming. So that means I'm just going to lower down the heat slightly. I could actually smell the brown butter and it smells really awesome. So once you start seeing those brown bits, what you want to do is lower down the heat and grab some of that Parmesan and start melting that right inside and whisking that through. This is really going to start thickening. So what you want to do is simultaneously grab just a bit of water and dilute it. So I'm going to really reduce down the heat because now what I need is some starchy pasta water. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in our pasta right into the water. So how are you going to know when your pasta is done? It's going to start to float to the top. And this is going to take a maximum of 3 minutes. I wouldn't even say 3 minutes, I would say 2 minutes. So you always want to be over here and watching your pasta. So there is no oil that was added to the pasta water. The only thing that was added to the pasta water was a ton of salt. You don't want to add in any oil in your pasta water so that you prevent any sort of oil coating your pasta, because you want the thing that coats your pasta is the sauce. So try not to add in any oil in your boiling water, only add in that salt and notice the difference. So I'm gonna add in some of that starchy water. Whisk this through and then it'll start thickening up. So pasta water, in my opinion, is like liquid gold. Never get rid of pasta water, especially when you're making the sauce simultaneously. You need that pasta water to thicken up your sauce. So it's literally liquid gold. So I have my pasta right here that is floating to the top. What I'm gonna do is grab my pasta or my ravioli, drop it into my sauce, just like so. And get this to gently cook in my pasta sauce. Gonna add in some of the extra Parmesan, get that nicely melted. So what's left to do is just plate everything together. So to do so, what you want to make sure of is that you don't put so much of that sauce right onto the plate. You just want that residual sauce that is kind of coating your pasta or your ravioli. And that's about the good amount that you want onto your plate. Just gonna grab just a little bit of that sauce, drizzle it right on. Going to garnish with some Parmesan, some salt, black pepper, and at the very end, what you want to do is drizzle just a bit of some truffle oil. And here you have our completed dish made with our pasta dough from scratch. So we used our pasta dough to make a really lovely, delicious ravioli that is stuffed with some pumpkin squash. It's really delicious. I hope you guys try this at home. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time on From Scratch.